UFC Sacramento this weekend. Anthony Hernandez returns against Gregory Rodrigues, a 5-round middleweight main event. Finally, a live crowd event again after a few Apex cards recently. It's going to be a good one. Some great fights. Anthony Hernandez looking to get back into the win column. A lot of fights to break down. Let's just jump into it. First up, Chanel Dyer and Elise Reed. Elise Reed been in the company quite a few years now. She came to the UFC 4-0, but she's lost quite a few times. Lost 5 fights in the UFC. She's only won 4 fights, and she every single fighter that she's beat in her UFC run has either been cut or has actually retired from the sport of MMA as a whole. Maybe moved on to karate combat, something of the sort, or just retired completely. Does not ha- her wins were not really good fighters either. She beat people like Jessica Penn, Jin Frey. She was losing, or I'm not sure if she beat or lost to Corey McKenna, but it wasn't a good fight. Most recently, she got knocked out by Denise Gomez, lost to Lupita Godinez. She also got subbed by Loma Lookboonmee, which was 3 years, 6 months ago, but that's still a pretty long time. Also very inactive for a 33-year-old. She's 5'3", outsized by Chanel Dyer. Chanel Dyer's only career loss was against Karel Foro on the Contender Series. A few weeks ago, she just fought her UFC debut, and Karel Foro looked really good, so it's not a bad loss by any means. Chanel Dyer then came up to the UFC in her UFC debut a few months ago, and she got a knee and punches KO over Ravena Oliveira in the first round. Very impressive. I think she can. There's definitely a lot of finishing upside, and this being the first fight of the card, there's always a KO or a sub if it's a woman's fight, if it's the first on the card. So I'm going to predict a first round TKO for Chanel Dyer. I just think if you're getting finished by Denise Gomez, Loma Lookboonmee, Lupita Godinez, I think Lupita Godinez TKO'd her. No, she subbed her. Either way, she's open to all areas. I could see Chanel Dyer just wrapping up a sub here, but probably just goes with her bread and butter. Maybe a knee up the middle, maybe some kicks, maybe a head kick KO. We'll see. But it's definitely a first round KO for Chanel Dyer. Next up, Jackson McVeigh and Wes Schultz. Jackson McVeigh got his first win in the UFC recently, and it was against Rodrigues Dumas. Definitely not an impressive win by any means. He did lose in his debut, short notice to Bruno Ferreira. He got subbed, and he also got subbed by Zachary Reese. He was very close to finishing Zachary Reese in the first round, but then he got subbed by him. He's a big middleweight, 6'4", same reach though as the 6'1" Wes Schultz. Kind of does worry me. He's a solid striker, and he does have pretty good finishing instinct. Wes Schultz recently, I think it was UFC Shanghai or Beijing, he fought a fucking high school teacher. Like, Ben Johnson was literally a high school teacher, and he went life and death before subbing him in the third round. It might have been 1-1. He might have been down 2-0. It was a really, really weird fight. He was a plus 155 underdog. Uh, I think that should be, quite frankly, bigger. Too much risk if you're playing Wes Schultz. He got knocked out by Damian Pinas in his UFC debut. Not a bad loss, again, but doesn't very timid on the feet. He's a good submission artist, but he's facing a better one that's also bigger in Jackson McVeigh. And McVeigh also just locks up subs immediately. He's very finish hungry. Wes Schultz also got KO'd by Mansour Abdul Malik, and he's also one of those guys you see on the Contender Series twice. You never really want to trust those type of guys. Getting KO'd by Mansour Abdul Malik as of this past weekend, really, really bad, really, really bad. Mansour Abdul Malik has not showed up to be what we thought he was going to be. He just got subbed by Dustin Stoltzfus. It was a really bad performance, and his career, and his hype is pretty much done. So either way, I'm going with Jackson McVeigh here. Just fought better competition. He's looked better. He's bigger, more finishing instinct. I think Jackson McVeigh can get a round 1 TKO. I could see him getting the sub, maybe a guillotine, but I think Wes Schultz will be able to defend against that and probably get TKO'd against the ground. He's just very timid on the feet, and even on the ground, his defense against ground and pound's not great either. Next up, Gage Young and Stan Dorsenville. Gage Young on a 2-fight win streak now in the UFC. He lost to Evan Elder, who I think has been cut since, but he is now beaten Mahashete, who just got a short notice fight for this weekend, or for the UFC Shanghai card, and also Thiago Moises, very close split decision fight. Not a big fan of Gage Young, to be honest. The guy talks a lot. He's got a big mouth. Not a great fighter by any means, but unfortunately, Stan Dorsenville is fighting here on short notice. Not much I know about the guy. Um, he's a bigger lightweight, way bigger reach by 6 inches. Great LFA prospect, but he's fought just 2 months ago. It's kind of a short notice fight. Probably good leaning Gage Young by decision. Just don't know much about Stan Dorsenville. Um, if he's anything good, like I mean, he's 5-0. He's got some good submissions. He's got a lot of ground and pound finishes, but nothing I really know about the guy to really pick him. Gage Young doesn't have a lot of finishing instinct either. Not a lot of power in his hands. Just doesn't have a lot of anything. But I'll still lean the guy with UFC experience, Gage Young. But I would be very happy if he were to lose here. I don't really care about this pick, but I'd be very happy if Gage Young were to lose against Stan Dorsenville. Next up, kind of a no-brainer. You can already see Marcio Barbosa is a minus 900 favorite. I think he's probably closer to minus 1,000 now. He's fighting an older, a bit skinnier and taller featherweight in Ryan Cuse, 32 years old. Fought a lot on the Brazilian scene, Combate. He's fought Fury, LFA. He's fought in a lot of different promotions. I don't think any of his fights have been in the same promotion as last 5 fights. Yep. Marcio Barbosa looked very impressive in his UFC debut. Um, Left hook against Denis Buzukja, knocked him out cold. Great finish on the Contender Series. He's just looked amazing. Great LFA prospect. The guy has power. Very solid, crisp boxing. I think he's probably going to get around 1 KO. I mean, he's a minus 900 favorite. Really not going to bet it unless it's just the KO prop. That's really what you want to look forward to. And don't parlay a guy that's minus 900, people. Just a warning. After last week, I didn't. I put Mansour by KO, but a lot of people put Mansour Abdul Malik moneyline and Miktabek oral buy for these quote unquote guaranteed legs, but they're like minus 1,200, minus 700 legs. You should not be putting those money lines, people. Bet the props, bet the under, bet the fucking KO. Do anything but putting the money line if it's something above a minus like 550. That's kind of my rule for money lines. Next up, Nasrat Haqparast and Chris Padilla. Now, Nasrat Haqparast has not fought since he got highlight KO'd, head kicked KO'd by the matter, against Quillen Salkield 9 months ago. I think it was in Abu Dhabi. 31 years old. It's kind of crazy. Nasrat Haqparast was still a pretty big staple in the division. He had wins over Ribovic, close fight, but still good win. Jared Gordon, I think he clearly beat him. Jamie Malarkey KO'd him. Len Quinones. He's got a good wins. He was building a good win streak in the UFC lightweight division. Unfortunately, ran into the force that is Quillen Salkield. He just fought way better comp than Chris Padilla. Chris Padilla just went to a draw with Markel Medeiros while he was nearly undefeated, 11-1. Not a great look. Honestly, a lot of people say Chris Padilla could have lost that fight. I think it was because Markel Medeiros actually eye poked him in the first round, so he got deducted a point. Otherwise, Chris Padilla did not look that great. He did finish Ismail Bonfim. Bonfim not that great. Jai Herbert, I thought he lost to. He beat Rongju, good aging win, a doctor stoppage almost 2 years ago. And he also subbed Thomas Lomtop, who's been cut from the UFC. Did show some good moments, though. Chris Padilla also did miss weight in his last fight, so I'm not really sure if he's going to make weight. He's a bit outsized, has a 2-inch reach advantage on Nasrat Haqparast. One of those very technical Muay Thai fighters in the UFC. A lot of people have compared him to Rafael Fiziev, said he's like one of the best, maybe top 2 Muay Thai fighters of all time in the UFC. I don't really see it. He doesn't inflict a whole lot of damage, not a lot of power in his punches. He takes damage like a motherfucker. Nasrat Haqparast, solid striking, decent wrestling. Doesn't really use it all that much. This also being in Sacramento, probably favoring the other California native Chris Padilla on the cards. But I think Nasrat Haqparast has better striking up on the feet and can definitely take it to the ground if he wants to. Chris Padilla just doesn't open up too much because of that Muay Thai stance and just how he throws kicks, how he's trying to always throw those straight elbows. I think Nasrat Haqparast can just keep circling out, jab him from across, maybe land a two here and there, and get a crafty decision to get back into the win column for Nasrat Haqparast. Next up, Shamil the Blob Gaziev and Kennedy Nzechukwu. Shamil Gaziev is riding a 2-fight losing streak. He originally came into the UFC, he was undefeated, fought Jairzinho Rosenstrike, and got technically stopped because he quit in the corner after a singular fucking round he gassed, which was hilarious considering he wasn't really bleeding except a tiny bit from the mouth. He just literally gassed and quit. He then got 2K. He got a win over Dante Maez, KO'd Thomas Peterson, and then he fought Waldo Cortez Acosta on short notice, got KO'd. Or was Waldo? I think Waldo came on short notice, KO'd him, and then he also got KO'd recently by Brando Pericic. Looked solid in that fight, but he just gets clipped too much, and he's this kind of chinny guy, 36 years of age, not a whole lot of power in his punches. Not a lot I'm going to really say for him. My fighter of the week is Kennedy Nzechukwu. He did go to a draw with Marcus Buchecha in his last fight. Did get 10-8'd in that second round. I think mainly because Kennedy got I think it was because Kennedy got a point deducted. Otherwise, Kennedy had 2 rounds to 1 against Marcus Buchecha. He has struggled a bit with grapplers in the last few fights. He got subbed by Walter Walker. I think that was the first Walter Walker's heel hook in that. I think it's 5 in a row, or 4 and 5 in a row now. And Marcus Buchecha, obviously a very well accoladed grappler in his own right, but Shamil Gaziev is not a grappler by any means. He's a striker first and foremost. Doesn't have a lot of wrestling at all. Kenny Nzechukwu, a lot of power. He's younger, way bigger, almost 5 full inch reach advantage, 6'5" to 6'4". He's got good wins. He's knocked out Lucas Brzezinski. He also finished Chris Barnett. Obviously losing to Ovince St. Preux is not a great loss. It was a split decision. Thought he won that fight. Again, it's at light heavyweight. Since he's come to heavyweight, he's looked like a great force. I thought his last fight was a great performance, albeit the loss kind of soured a lot of people's minds with this fight. Or at least it was a draw, kind of soured people's minds with this fight. Still, great performance. Think Kennedy will come back here, get a first round KO over Shamil Gaziev when Shamil just moves forward and is kind of sloppy, and Kennedy will finally have a UFC heavyweight ranking. Next up, not going to say too much about this fight. Lerron Douglas has been a great prospect. Knocked out Cam Teague on the Contender Series. Knocked out Julian Rosa, who's a better, crafty vet than Jamal Emmers. And he's looked very good on the feet. Jamal Emmers, he's gotten 2 wins back-to-back now, but he's lost to guys like Nate Landwehr in his last 3 fights. He lost the split decision to Jack Jenkins. 37 years of age. He's kind of on the tail end of his career. Lerron Douglas is very promising. I think Lerron Douglas is going to get a first-round KO. Again, not much to say. I think it's very straightforward. Another very straightforward fight. Anthony Wint. I don't remember first round, third round, whatever it was. Ground and pound finish on the Contender Series last week. Already got a fight scheduled for UFC Sacramento, and he really wanted to fight really soon, so Dana White just put him on this card. Got him random fat-ass heavyweight, Terrence Chapman, plus 660 underdog for a reason. Probably going to play like a first-round KO. This is literally made for Anthony Wint. He's a big, roided heavyweight. No reason to go against him. Next up, Carly Judas and Gisela Chavez. Carly Judas is riding a 3-fight winning streak in the UFC after losing a split decision twice on the Contender Series and then her UFC debut against Gabriel Fernandez. She then got a head kick KO over Junice Dubin, spoiling the promising Contender Series prospect. Got a finish over Nicole Collieri off a knee to the liver, and then beat Juliana Miller, who looked great her last fight out, I think 2 weeks ago. Now Carly Judas looking to make it 4 in a row. Jaisla Chavez also beat Junice Dubin via split decision. I thought she lost that fight. And she also beat Sofia Montenegro by split decision as well on the Contender Series to earn her contract. If you're going to back-to-back split decisions for your wins, obviously you can never say the same. I'd be a bit of a hypocrite for basing my whole analysis on that, but Carly Judas is looking much better on the feet. And she has decent takedown defense. Jaisla Chavez didn't look that great against Junice Dubin, who's mainly a striker, and she also is mainly a grappler with not a lot of sub attempts, not a lot of sub finishing instinct. So I think I'm gonna go Carly Judas by round 2 TKO. Probably hurts her to the body, has good work on the feet. Yeah, second round TKO for Carly Judas. Next up, probably my favorite fight on this card, Mason Jones and Markel Medeiros. Mason Jones last out had one of the best fights I've ever seen against Axel Sola. I thought that was probably fight of the year no matter what. A lot of people aren't even talking about that in that category, but it is what it is. Mason Jones has looked great in his second UFC stint. He's put together 3 wins in a row, 1 finish against Balaji Oki, and a great fight against Axel Sola, and he also beat Jeremy Stevens in another great fight. He's looked amazing, 31 years of age, very technical on the ground, has very good striking on the feet, and he also knows how to make it dirty when you need to. Michael Medeiros, already mentioned this guy on the card, fought Chris Padilla, went to a draw, should have beat him if not for the eye poke. Doesn't have a lot of great UFC experience. He beat Mark Troinsky last time out. He's beaten Austin Hubbard, Landon Quinones, and he won his Contender Series fight via a KO via knee. 3 of these fighters not in the UFC anymore or at all. Don't know about Mark Troinsky. Not a great look for Markel Medeiros. He's coming in to fight a way more experienced Mason Jones, who's had way more dog appearances. Jones bites down his mouthpiece every single time he gets into the octagon. He gets hurt early by guys that do a lot more damage, a lot more punching power. Medeiros is much more of a technical kickboxer, just not a lot of finishing upside. And if you can't hurt Mason Jones early and get that finish, get him out of there, you're not beating him. And this is the type of guy where you say, hey, he's really tough. I'm like, hell yeah, I love a tough fighter. That's the Mason Jones experience. Just bites down his mouthpiece, moves forward, grinds it down against the cage, gets you to the ground, has submission threat, has the KO threat. Landed great head kicks against Axel Sola, hurt him quite a few times, landed a bunch of knees, could have had that fight stopped a few times. He's just looked great. I think Mason Jones is in for a second round TKO against Markel Medeiros. Next up, the return of Reinier de Ridder and Roman Dolidze. This fight is at light heavyweight, no longer at middleweight for both of these fighters, both over 35 years of age. Reinier de Ridder is very close to his 36th birthday. The bigger light heavyweight here. He's shown better performances in the UFC, and he's looking to get back into the win column. He did fight 4 times in the UFC in the span of, I think, 11 months. 5 times in 16 months, so a lot of weight cutting. Kind of explained why he lost to Brendan Allen, who came in on short notice. He then lost another decision against Caio Borralho. Not a great look for him. He's been struggling a lot with the weight cut, he said, and that's why he's moved up to light heavyweight. Not the really same thing for Roman Dolidze, but he's not looked good at middleweight since he dropped his last 2 fights to Anthony Hernandez, who's in the main event, and he also lost to CLD, who's now in the rankings. 38 years old. He does have a light heavyweight win in his last 5 fights against Anthony Smith. He had a light heavyweight ranking for a little bit. Beat Kevin Holland as well. Also beat Marvin Vettori. RDR does have better wins. He beat Robert Whittaker, former champion, Bo Nickel, the first man to finish and beat Bo Nickel, and also subbed Kevin Holland, as opposed to a kind of fluke rib injury against Roman Dolidze. Only thing that scares me a little bit, Roman Dolidze has the experience here at light heavyweight. Could look a bit faster. He did look pretty good against Anthony Smith, albeit that is Anthony Smith. Still, Reiner de Ridder after his last two fights, kind of a wild card for me. Still going to say Reiner de Ridder by decision. I think this being his first fight at light heavyweight, he is a bit of a submission specialist, but Roman Dolidze kind of the same, and not a whole lot of power in his punches. Decent striking, but a whole lot of knees. Opens him up to a lot of takedowns. Yeah, I think he's just gonna grind down to a hard 3-round decision. If this was 5 rounds, I'd give Reiner de Ridder the finish all day. But this being a 3-rounder, probably a faster pace, I think it'll be easier for Roman Dolidze to slow it down a bit. Didn't look that bad against CLD, who a lot of people were very high on, and he was able to mix in the grappling a lot better, decent striking as well. But still, I think he'll do just enough not to be finished by Reiner de Ridder here. Next up, another good fight, one I'm very excited for. Sergey Spivak's return against Vitor Petrino, a heavyweight bout. Now, Vitor Petrino trying to make it 4 in a row at the new division of heavyweight. Sergey Spivak trying to make it 2 in a row after last time out getting a crafty win over Ante Delija. He won a straight-up boxing fight against Ante Delija, who a lot of people thought would knock him out straight in the first round or the second. Looked really good in that performance. Has very tight boxing that people really aren't aware of for some reason. He's always had it. It looks really good. Shown it against a lot of guys. He did lose 2 back-to-back against Yaito Almeida and Waldo Cortes Acosta. I thought this was a split decision, and I also thought that it was a wild robbery of Sergey Spivak. He's looked really good in that performance, and he's looked great in a lot of other fights since. He's only lost to really, really good strikers. Vitor Petrino, kind of a sloppy, big meaty hook, overhand thrower. Not super technical, does have good ground game, but he's outsized, and Spivak has a better ground game. Has a lot more subs and a lot more finishing instinct. Actually, no, both these guys have good finishing instinct, but Vitor Petrino kind of gasses sometimes. His last fight against Steven Asplin kind of told me how I'm going to see this fight. If you kind of stand in front of Vitor, stay technical. Don't allow him to push you early. The guy will gas, especially at heavyweight. He's a big, muscly guy. Low body fat percentage. He's going to gas hard if he keeps throwing those meaty hooks. His best avenue is trying to get a quick finish, maybe a quick sub, getting Spivak down, but Spivak will be aware to that. I think Spivak can get Vitor Petrino down after being crafty on the feet with that boxing. It's very tight, has a good guard. I think Spivak can win the first round on the feet, and then when Vitor starts to slow down, take him to the ground and get an arm triangle sub in the second round of the fight. Sergey Spivak, the polar bear, going to make it 2 in a row now. Finally, the main event of the evening, Anthony Hernandez and Gregor Rodrigues. Anthony Hernandez, after his last fight, a lot of people have been very down on him. It is the current middleweight champion we were talking about who finished him in the 3rd round. He did not look all that bad. Strickland is just in a world of his own against those top 5 guys. It's just hard to beat a guy like that. Anthony Hernandez also chinny to the body. A lot of people are suspecting G-Rod is going to hunt heavily to the body. The other thing is, G-Rod is on a 3-fight winning streak. Only 2 by KO. Finished Jack Hermanson, flatlined him, flatlined Bruno Ferreira, went to a decision with Roman Kopylov. I thought he lost that fight, but still a great performance no matter what. G-Rod has looked very good since he dropped the fight to Jared Cannonier last year. Did knock him down, I think, early in that 1st round, and then got finished because he gassed heavily in that 3rd. And Gregor Rodrigues is always throwing with a lot of power in his shots. He's a big power puncher, actually has one-punch KO power, as opposed to a lot of guys that are claimed to have that. Anthony Hernandez, though, he's beaten guys like Roman Kopylov, who Gregor Rodrigues recently beat, and he actually finished him in the 1st round, subbed him early. I'm not sure if he knocked him down, but he did get him down to the ground, got that rear naked choke, got his back, was smiling at the camera. He looked like a force to be reckoned with. I think he had a 7-fight winning streak in the UFC, and people are really downing this guy out a lot. He is a decent bit outside, but has the same reach, decent striking on the feet, but way better on the ground than Gregor Rodrigues. Way better gas tank. The main thing is, does he get finished to the body early, or does he even get chinned? That's another big liability there. I think he still has a very solid chin, was eating shots from all these different guys. Did sub Roman Dolidze last his last win. Beat Brendan Allen, who's also a top 5 middleweight. I don't know how he dropped under him, considering this is literally one of his most recent fights and wins. I think this fight can play out similarly to how Anthony Hernandez beat Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira almost finished him in that first round to the body. Also has great striking, a lot of power in his hands as well, but he gassed heavy. Gregory Rodrigues a little bit more power, but gasses even worse than Michel Pereira. I don't really see him going 4 rounds. I think he might go out in 3. I think if he doesn't get that KO in the first round or even early parts of the second, he's going to get outworked by Anthony Hernandez. He just doesn't have the gas tank, doesn't have the grappling and the wrestling. Anthony Hernandez just going to go work all over him. He's going to be looking everywhere like, where is this guy? He's going to look like a fucking speed demon after he slows down to the point that he's a snail. Anthony Hernandez is going to be looking to get a 3rd round TKO over Gregory Rodrigues. I don't think he's going to look for the sub. He could get it, but I think once Gregory Rodrigues is gassed and hurt on the ground, he'll just land that nasty ground and pound and just put Gregory Rodrigues out of his misery to get back into the win column. Those are my picks for UFC Sacramento. Looking to get a better record than last week. Unfortunately, I accidentally didn't leave my picks on Topology for UFC 330. Gonna make sure to click save here now for this card. Don't have a parlay of the week, but my fighter of the week is Kennedy and Zechiku. I'm very huge on him. Plus 105. I think he's actually plus 130 now. Kind of crazy to think. He's just way better on the feet, way more technical. Doesn't take in as much damage as Shamil in recent times, and isn't fighting a grappler. Just all the reasons you should pick Kennedy and Zechiku in there, and so I'm going with them. That's it for this card, though. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully Anthony Hernandez wins this fight. I'm more big on him mainly because I really want the divisions to be filled with guys that are way more well-rounded, have good finishing instinct, but aren't just these big power punchers without a whole lot of wrestling or grappling to match up with it. That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Deshaun Goatlin signing out.